Welcome to the Sunstone Health Podcast, hosted by Joshua Resnikoff, co-founder and CEO of Sunstone Health, and storyteller Justin Starbird. This show explores what happens when healthcare stops telling families to be patient and starts delivering answers. Sunstone Health exists to end the diagnostic odyssey. Each episode brings you honest conversations with people on the ground, clinicians, innovators, and advocates who are pushing healthcare to work the way it should. This is the Sunstone Health Podcast, because being patient shouldn't be the plan.
Welcome back to the Sunstone Podcast. My name is Justin Starbird, and as always, I get to welcome back my co-host and good friend, Josh Resnikoff, the CEO of Sunstone Health. Josh, how are you today?
Doing good, digging out of the snow. I think like you actually probably got it worse than I did, so I shouldn't complain.
I don't know. When it's more wet, it's more difficult to deal with. So here it was like 7 degrees. So it was like you can use a leaf blower and get rid of it.
Yeah, I tried that. It didn't work, and we're definitely not accustomed to it. So it's been fun. The kids love it. It's great, beautiful out, but definitely digging out of the snow.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things that comes up when, you've got weather like this and you've got, different things that are going on is, a lot of good comes out of the community, and a lot of good comes, out of, helping neighbors and making sure that everybody's taken care of. And it's kind of an interesting little segue here because Sunstone Health, really the work that you do intersects between healthcare, diagnostic, and is mission driven. And the impact, really does a lot of good. And today's topic is doing business for good. What, sort of impact do you feel, helps Sunstone really impact those customers and people that you're working with?
Wow. I mean the obvious impact is the work that we do for families. I know we have a business model, we can talk about that, but you've heard me say before, like my whole mission is to help families, right? Like we want to apply technology to make clinical efficiency happen so that families like mine, every other family, hopefully every family eventually in America doesn't have to wait any amount of time to get the kind of healthcare that they need, right? So, I mean, I think we saw it a lot in Anaheim where people had literally come across the country to get in touch with us to get the kind of healthcare that they believe they deserve, they rightly deserve. And just as we start to scale up and we've expanded now into to autism and developmental delay, like there's just so much benefit that you can bring to families by getting in front of them earlier and making the system treat them the way they deserve to be treated, and frankly, I think the way that we all expect healthcare to operate, like I want to show up to the doctor and get an answer. I want a team of specialists to take a look at my kid and like come to consensus in that meeting, not wait 6 more months to go to another one. So I think, a lot of it is just relieving stress, getting to the ends. That's the goal, right?
Do you think that more companies should adopt this mindset, or are we stuck in this trap of trying to figure out who's making money off of the system?
Are my investors going to listen to this call? No,
Well, that's a good point. Can you do both?
I believe you can. I believe you can. I do think it takes a certain kind of it for investors, right? Definitely takes a certain kind of founder. And it certainly takes a certain kind of investor who really is mission aligned, if not mission driven with us. And we've been really lucky to not just garner professional venture capital who believes in the mission and believes in the vision and is willing to take a little bit of a maybe like longer payback period timeline, right? Like they're not necessarily looking for a 1,000x exit in 2 years kind of thing. And clearly in the WeFunder community, like everyone, just 95% of everyone, like they are mission driven. They are part of our community to do that. So I really do think, I mean, I don't know if I would be doing this if I didn't think that you could do both.
Yeah.
Right. That being said, it is surprising in a good, bad way about how often I hear people compliment what we're doing as not just another market play, right? Not just like taking advantage of a situation to go make a lot of money. And ultimately, I do need to make a lot of money, right? Because I have investors, and we are a for-profit business. So being a good steward of capital and being a good steward of returns on that capital is always a big chunk of my mind. But it is a balance. But the company exists to help people. That's our first and foremost mission.
I mean, those are your values, right? I mean, at the end of the
Yeah.
day, you've laid out these values that you're living by, that you're running the business by.
Yeah. Yeah. And without them, this is hard. Like I think I would have quit a long time ago, honestly, if it wasn't so important to me. Like I don't know. I don't need to pretend. Like there are a lot easier ways to make money if that's what it was about, you know. See a lot of friends like making bank with crypto, like whatever that kind of thing is. And it's just, yeah, like financial security is an attractive part of the American dream, but to me, ultimately, and not to be, high flying or I just I would like to look back and think that I made an impact and that I left the world a little bit better than I found it. And I don't mean it to be a cliche. There's in Band of Brothers at the end when they talk about it's like the epilogue for everybody. And there's one of the guys, I don't remember his name, and I should know it when I tell the story, but he moves back. I think he lives in Rhode Island, like in Providence, and becomes like a janitor for his high school. And he just kind of like goes back to being this quiet, do-gooding guy, and he's like such a good guy. But when he dies, they talk about like thousands of people show up to his funeral because he had made such a positive difference in all of these people's lives. And I do think that we really get one shot at this life. And I would like to think that that like pay it forward attitude is part of what I'm accomplishing.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great example of, being not just patient, but using your values for good. Talk a little bit about, what those core values are that drive Sunstone and, help you, lead that, not just lead the company, but, lead your employees now, lead your investors, and ultimately give your patients an opportunity for diagnosis.
Yeah, well, to me, it's pretty easy. I even have it right here. It just says, "Be here, do good," right? Um, and so I think that there's like I'm a biomedical engineer, so I had to go through a lot of anatomy. I did a lot of classes with med students, right? Like you hear a lot about like do no harm, and I think that is a very noble and fantastic edict for medicine. But for me, it's not enough, right? Because I think that by being cautious at times, it can actually incur harm to people who need you to move a little bit faster. And so for me, it's about doing good. Um, and that was true with the first companies that we started. It was true. It has absolutely been a through line. Like I was a B Corp ambassador for Boston. Um, Back in the day, my first company was an early B Corp. I really do think that if you center yourself in trying to make a positive impact, not every decision is going to be about that, right? Like there's weights to every decision. But if that is your central truth against what you're trying to build against, that will resonate out to like the kind of people that you hire, the kind of lessons that you give them, the kind of direction that they take, right?
Yeah.
And it also, frankly, creates a backbone for our company of value and values that makes a very easy metric to go forward with for how we're operating, right? It's like something that we report on at board meetings, like what are the good outcomes that we've done? How many patients have we helped, right? Not just how much money have we put back in the system.
Yeah. So actually, a couple of different ways we could go with this, but real quick, you mentioned B Corp. Are you thinking of transitioning Sunstone eventually to be a B Corp?
Possibly. I love the B Corp movement. I don't know that it's the right fit for every company. I think it's really good for consumer products. It is absolutely something I would take a look at. I really love the community. Um, but I'm just not familiar with it. It's been years since I was a B Corp, but their core value set is something that I think like I'm so glad that that certification exists for those companies out there. Like 1% for the planet, like all of these things that allow corporations to orient themselves towards a positive without having to go for a nonprofit status. I think is it's just a great it's just a great added um corporate framework, right? Like for corporate decision making. Like the B Corp thing about having like putting people, place, and profits as part of your decision making nexus, like that to me was always really beautifully done.
Yeah. Well, we will not timestamp this and hold you accountable for a B Corp later. But you
But
mentioned
I know I'm
something
gonna
else
get
in
some
the
emails after this from that.
yeah, yeah, no kidding. So you mentioned something else just before that. You were talking about metrics and what is important in terms of balancing like business growth with impact that you're making. How do you do that in a way that's still patient first, or what are some of the difficult decisions that you've got to make as a result of that?
That's a great question. I think the truth is that it's because all of the numbers are tied together, right? Like the amount of patients that we help will result in the amount of dollars that we save for a company, a customer, results in the amount of money that my company makes. And so those things are inextricably linked, right? And for me, it's just about who cares about what part of that conversation that I get to bring each one of those metrics forward. Um, Again, because my investors are fantastic and the weak funder community is fantastic, I get to talk about how many patients we've serviced and helped first as a parlay into, and this is, by the way, how much money we've made, right? When I'm talking to customers, it's about how many members of yours we can help and how much money you can save. And I find it very fortunate that most of the people I talk to are actually really focused on helping their members, helping their families first and foremost, and doing the right thing for their members. Um, while, again, everybody's grounded, like people need to keep the lights on, right? Like whether you're a huge tech company or like a small manufacturer, like those healthcare premiums are not going away, right? So, and how that impacts the greater good, or like all of it plays in. So, I think for us too, because the way that we built our system doesn't take a dollar out of one person's pocket to put it in our pocket. It really aligns those incentives across the board. I think it becomes a very I would like to believe, and we're gonna build the data set to demonstrate it, but that we're actually so effective at what we do that we can impact the bottom line for a company that gives them more flexibility to stay in business and hire more people. Um, and ultimately, that's how it works for us too, right? We want to be able to scale so we can help more and more and more people and go service more and more diseases. And call it my like pathological optimism, but one success begets the next success. And so as we demonstrate value in autism, we'll be able to demonstrate value in hemophilia and familial hypercholesterolemia, and we'll just grow and grow and grow. So
Are you looking ahead? Are you worried that there could potentially be trade-offs or, elements where, you have to pick one over another?
worried about it? No. You know, Aware of it, of course, right? Like because we're a for-profit, like commercial strategy is always going to carry weight. Like that, we can't just go do whatever we want to do because it makes us feel good, right? We do have responsibilities, corporate responsibilities at the end of the day. And so, you know, will we be able to help every single patient? No, we won't. And like that's something that frankly, like I have to deal with. I would love for that not to be true, but it is true. Um, part of part of the way I try to satisfy that for myself is that we build these alliances with people who are trying to help very small ends of patients, who are trying to make drugs. Like we have to focus on what we are exceptionally good at as part of a bigger system so that we can help every single patient or as many patients as we can, and not just say, well, these are the classes of patients that we're really good at and the rest of them are just kind of like SOL, right? So it's something that I try to satisfy for, build around. But yeah, at the end of the day, we do have to focus where we're going to be most effective.
You mentioned you've got to satisfy on a couple of different levels there. The impact, of course, with the interest of the business. Part of the way you've done that is also hiring, I would say, like-minded people, because everybody's got such a unique and special skill set that you've brought on. And so you need to think differently in order to be good at the different jobs that are required within Sunstone. But that said, generally speaking, the ethos all are, that same, be here, do good, sort of a feeling. How have you been able to, I guess, one, find the right people, and then two, instill these same values and mission into them?
Um, I don't want to go too woo on the call, right? Like publicly, but like I really do think that life kind of unfolds the way it's supposed to. And I think if you put positivity out into the world, like positive things happen. I think when I'm feeling very negative, like the day becomes a negative day, right? Like it just sort of manifests that way. So we're still a very small team. It's there are 5 full-timers. We just brought on a new operations intern, clinical operations intern. She's fantastic. We've got an amazing MD who's now helping us, not full-time, but he's our internal MD. Um, and really, this goes back to some of the other stuff we've talked about like how long does it take to build a business or to build this network? Like a lot of these relationships have just been built over years. And frankly, it would be disingenuous of me if I said, well, oh, I was on a subway and I found this person, they were awesome, right? Like I've had lots of false starts with people because they didn't pan out and they promised me something that they were interested in and it wasn't the right fit.
Yeah,
Everybody who is on the team today stuck with this because they believe in the mission or frankly pitched me on the job that they should get hired because they believe in the mission so much. And I have been incredibly fortunate that not only are they passionate, but they're also super talented, right? And similar to what you were saying before, I'm very aware that that might change at some point in the future as we start to have to grow and grow and grow. I don't know how many FTE we're ultimately going to need to be really, really effective at what we do, but um, fitting into the team is such a critical component. Like there are a lot of really great people who have really great skills. We are very much a people focused business. And so if you can't communicate to patients and families and have empathy for what they're going through and like really ground yourself in that, let alone be a good team member and pick up the slack where other people are, because there's a lot of work to do over here.
yeah,
Uh, it's just not going to work out, right? So some of it's self-selecting and some of it is we attract the kind of people that are going to be into a business like this.
sure. Yeah. Also, you've attracted some, I would say, publicity because of the impact that you're making, the way in which you're going about it, the people you have working for you. So from the outside, you're a success. I know you and I have talked a lot about the fact that like we're just getting started. This isn't success. This is just the beginning. That said, you are a member of the WeFunder community as you're raising as well. There's a lot of mission-driven companies on that specific platform. Generally speaking, that's the type of people that they attract there for community rounds. That said, what advice would you give to other founders or other leaders that are not quite where you are now, maybe looking back 18 months where you were then?
You know, don't stop dreaming. That I don't know. You just like if you build it, they will come. I like whatever. There's like a million Springsteen songs about this. The truth is like you really have to believe in yourself, and you need people around you who are going to believe in you too. And I am lucky enough to have a partner, my wife, who like, as much as she has hated this process at moments, has also like never stopped cheering me on as I go around for like round six, right?
Yeah.
Like how many times can you get knocked down and get back up and get on the horse and like be optimistic that it's going to work out? And um, if that is not a trait that you have or that you are willing to cultivate, because that kind of grit can very much be taught and learned. You know, we all have a lot of calluses. Like anybody, I know you have them, right? Like
Yeah.
you're gonna build something, you're gonna have some stories and some scars to share with other people who built stuff. Um, but if that doesn't sound maybe like dangerous exciting, you know, like go do something else. It's just not, it's not going to be rewarding. And there were times, you know, I've had weeks of sleepless nights. I've had months of just insane levels of stress. I still have those things, frankly. And it's great to know that that like external view doesn't see all of that. But this wasn't something we turned on a week ago, right? So
It's not an overnight success, right? All the overnight successes happen, 10 years in the making.
yeah. And so yeah, that's my biggest thing, dude, is you just gotta keep getting back up on the horse and keep going, you know, and believe. Probably you should know when to get off that horse too. I just that's not a bone that I have.
I don't have that either. I am very much a Chumbawamba song where I get knocked down and I get back up again.
It was
All right,
actually
so yeah. So maybe I should be more Springsteen. I don't know. But lastly, I end on this. You have come so far in such a short period of time and a long period of time. But looking ahead to on the positive side, the sustainability of doing good work. Where are you in 18 months, in 5 years?
yeah, there's so much going on right now that I'm so excited about. Like we have we have so much so look, to your point, I have networked the hell out of myself. I have board members of major tech companies who are advising me now. I have people with decades worth of experience of selling products like mine into the broker market, into the employer market. Everyone is like, yes. Everyone is a yes, right? So the wind really feels like it's at my back, let alone, like I said before, the absolutely terrible market conditions of Obamacare going away, right? These subsidies going away and everyone's healthcare premiums go back up. Like we we are meeting this need, our expansion into autism again, just to go help so many families. I really think that we are really at the tip of the iceberg for our journey into what I believe can be a way to leverage technology to make clinical efficiency happen by effectively integrating claims data more into that decision making. Because right now you just have these silos for like the actuaries at the plan, they see what they have to pay for, and there's no way for them to actually help drive care. And the people on the other side, the care, they're just trying to get paid to do the work that they want to do to help the patient as best they can, but they don't have any way to really interface with the plan, right? To like make those decisions. And I think that we can be the glue, the technology glue between those two things. And as we demonstrate efficacy with these families and can really go help people, there's unfortunately really no limit to the amount of high cost, high need diseases that need second, third looks as fast as possible. So, our goal is to expand into adult populations, into cardio, into muscular, like into all of these different places where our same approach can make a fundamental difference in patient health outcomes. And obviously the system benefits from that, right? Everybody benefits from that. Um, so that is both the 18-month plan. Like I want to go kill it at what we're doing right now for the next 18 months and just bring on as many employers who want to help their families, build that trust with them that we know what they're doing so that in 5 years we are just part of their backbone for infrastructure, for tech infrastructure.
Yeah, that's ambitious and exciting and scary, and it's really neat to be a part of this journey with you. I'm so happy to be here to support that, and thankfully, it's also supporting a great mission too. So thanks.
Yeah, thanks, man. No, it's great. And it's everybody's part of the team. It's all part of the reason.
Good deal. Well, thank you for joining me today to talk a little bit about doing business for good. I think this is it's really refreshing in the climate in which we live today. And I think people, have a smile on their face when it's done.
Hope so. Hope so. Thanks, Justin.
No problem. On behalf of my guest today, CEO of Sunstone Health, Josh Resnikoff, you've been listening to the Sunstone Health Podcast. Until next time.